Hello and welcome to Walking the Earth podcast. I'm Mike Margulies, today in Chiang Mai, Thailand, and I'm joined by my friend Amanda Day. How's it going, Amanda?
Wonderful.
I'll give you a proper introduction in just a moment,
All
but
right.
first I want to let our listeners know, listeners of this show, we have a good offer for you, special offer. You can get a free audiobook if you go to audibletrial.com/WTE podcast. Just from listening to this show, you get to download any audiobook you like on Audible's massive library. Then you get a 30-day free trial of Audible. And at the same time, you're actually going to help support this show. So just by going ahead and downloading a free audiobook, you're going to help this show do what we do. So yeah, please, the best way you can help us out, aside from just telling your friends, check it out at audibletrial.com/WTE podcast. Again, audibletrial.com/WTE podcast. Bringing things back to Chiang Mai though, Amanda here is an independent marketing consultant and also a blogger at your site's amandainasia.com.
That's correct.
And so you've been traveling Southeast Asia for, I guess, since what was it, February or so?
Yep, since February.
And it was originally going to be like a 3-month trip.
It was going to be a 3-month trip, and it's turned into indefinitely.
Yep, as it happens, right?
I'm not the only person that I've met that's happened to, so.
Yeah, and then like many people, including yours truly, you got sucked into this wonderful place, Chiang Mai.
This magical place called Chiang Mai.
Yes, that's a good word to describe it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it's really cool what you're doing, because you've got this blog where you're kind of talking about your adventures, and at the same time, you're kind of doing the whole the digital nomad sort of thing, right?
Yes, I am, and I'm meeting a lot of digital nomads here as well.
Yeah, that's a good place about thing about Chiang Mai.
We were just saying yesterday how there's really a Silicon Valley vibe that's present in Chiang Mai.
Yes.
And I think that's very true with places like Pun Space and Camp, where
you can co-working spaces.
Yeah, the co-working spaces where you can go and meet other people who are, whether they're bloggers or writers, or they've got their own startup or a dropship business. There's really a lot of that going on here. And before I came here, I really had no idea how many parallels there would be with where I'm from, San Francisco, and Chiang Mai.
Yeah, no, it's pretty incredible. It's almost like, to me, Chiang Mai is the perfect place if you want to learn how to be an entrepreneur, because you can come out here for a relatively low cost of living compared to, say, San Francisco.
Right, yeah.
Definitely compared to San Francisco.
Yeah.
And most other places like Western countries, for example. And while if you're living in somewhere like San Francisco, you're going to have to work a pretty frantic, stressful job just to pay the bills.
Yeah.
Out here, if you have some amount of savings, or you're working a few hours like you are doing some consulting work, or even some people go and teach English part-time, you can support yourself, and then at the same time, your time that's freed up you can put into some new sort of business.
And it's definitely it's entrepreneurial, but it's a different kind of entrepreneur. It's not just everyone. I've had a lot of friends back in San Francisco who are dedicated 80 hours a week to their startup, and they're living on shoestring budgets with lots of roommates and eating ramen noodles every day. And, maybe they have to be there for whatever their company is. Maybe there's a lot of persons involved that live in the area. But I think if you're a creative entrepreneur, you can find the right business that you can do from abroad. And that's essentially the entrepreneurs that I've met here.
Yeah. This city is has a very creative energy to it.
Yeah,
That's another thing I love about it.
Yeah.
I could talk for hours about things I love. I think I already have.
Me too. But really, work-life balance, I think that's what it's about in
That
Chiang
is
Mai.
true. You have that here. People are working hard on their various projects, and everyone's got things. Some people are teaching, some people are doing all kinds of doing podcasts, whatever. But yeah, people also make time to
And just to drop a number to your audience, there are actually 40,000 expats living in Chiang Mai.
Holy shit.
Which is kind of like a city within the city itself. In certain parts of Chiang Mai, you would really forget that you're in Asia.
Yeah. I think though, and on that topic though, that's true. It's nice to be surrounded by other like-minded people. There's a great expat community here, and it's very, very, it's almost too easy to meet other expats that are like you.
Yeah.
And actually, at the same time, though, I think it's also good, and what you're doing, you're learning Thai language, which is something I'm looking to start taking classes in as well. We had actually last night, we went to the language exchange event.
Yeah.
I think that's really cool though, because you're also reaching out to meet local people, because it's very, like you said, there's so many expats here, and you can feel really at home, and that is a great thing about Chiang Mai. But
you can become culturally lazy.
Yes, you can.
You can, and I've seen it happen. There's definitely bars, restaurants that cater specifically to expats, and there are people who live here for 2-3 years and never learn how to have a simple conversation in Thai.
Right.
And, I don't think that's for us.
Yeah.
We kind of like to get more involved. So.
Yeah, I agree. And in Thailand, I do find it a little bit more of a challenge than some other countries I've visited, to make local friends. Like, for example, in places like India and Malaysia, where people speak a lot of English, it's easy. Actually, I was in Vietnam before coming back to Thailand, and for whatever reason, it was very easy to make people. A lot of Vietnamese are very, very interested to meet West, for whatever reason.
Sure.
Maybe because they were former colonies, so they're more interested to meet Westerners. I'm not sure what it is, and Thailand's never really been colonized. I
think that language barrier is a big part of it.
The language barrier is huge.
Yeah.
And so it in Thailand, it does take, I think, a little bit more effort to go to reach out,
It does.
But I think it's important to do. And something I want to try to do more, and I want to try to personally make more local friends.
Right, and I've made a couple of very close girlfriends here who are Thai, and one of the things that's nice is I can also help them improve their English. They can help me improve my Thai.
And that's what the event last night was about.
Yeah,
basically.
That's what the event last night was about. My friend Nee is getting ready to interview, and her interview's in English, so I was helping her prepare for that. And then when we finished that, she helped me with, I'm learning the alphabet and how to say the letters and recognize the letters when I see them. And it's great that you can just help each other and share that,
Definitely. And also, pro tip for listeners, if you want to come live in Thailand for a longer term, an education visa is probably the best way to do it also.
Yeah.
You're in like a 1-year education visa.
Tell everyone what that entails. Basically, I go to class 3 times a week for a couple of hours. It's a small group class. We learn Thai.
Minimal. We learn Thai is actually the name of the school.
It's effective Thai.
Oh no! Sorry.
Yeah.
I got confused there. We learn Thai as a school. I've been looking into actually.
There's so many. There's so many schools here. In fact, you can even come here on an education visa and learn English. Like a number of Chinese students come here for a year to learn English.
Yeah, actually, last night at the exchange event, I met a Chinese girl who was here learning English.
Yeah, and we keep talking about language exchange, so let's just go ahead and drop that. That's couchsurfing.com puts together an event twice a week here in Chiang Mai.
Yeah, at Focus Gallery.
Yeah, where people from any background can come and practice English and Thai, Spanish, Italian. I mean, any language you want to practice, you just meet the others who are there and find someone to talk to, and it's completely free. It's great. It's
a great event. Actually, I'm going to try to get Daniel, who runs that bar Focus and organizes those events. I'm gonna try to get him on this show as well.
That'd be great.
See, he puts on a very nice event there.
Yeah.
And actually, you're mentioning you could also even come here on an education visa and learn Muay Thai, for example. Too.
Yeah, that's true. You can, there's so many different ways to get an education visa, really. And most of these offices, like the office at my school, they're so helpful. They'll really hold your hand and walk you through the paperwork.
Sounded like a pain in the ass, though.
Well, our friend Martin had a bit of a pain because recently laws changed here in Thailand, and
the visa laws are changing. I think like every couple of weeks.
It's becoming more stringent. The reality is a lot of people want to live in Thailand.
Yeah, it's a great place.
And they're trying to filter out the people who are here and just sort of paying their way and not really going to classes, and the people who are really here to learn. And so they've got these very stringent laws in place. But now I think it's a little sorted out, and the reality is it cost about $800 for the year, and then every 3 months you have to do a little renew process that costs about $45.
Yeah.
So it's really, really affordable, I think.
Yeah. And when you factor in the cost of living versus
right.
especially coming from the U.S.
Should I drop those numbers?
Oh, jeez. If you want.
Let's see. In San Francisco, I shared a 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom apartment with another girl. We paid $2,400 US.
Shit.
Yes, and here I have a studio apartment by myself, and I pay $200 US.
And it's a nice place.
Yeah, and it's in the center of town, so yeah.
Yeah,
it's pretty incredible, and I wouldn't say that I'm really going without here. Of course.
No.
I miss Napa Valley, and I miss a few of those places that you just can't replicate. But overall, I mean, quality of life here is very good.
Yeah, you get pretty much all the amenities of home here, and so it's
tons of things to do in nature if you like nature.
Yeah,
I mean,
and wonderful city of Pai is not too far away.
A few hours
3-hour van ride. You can get to beautiful nature-filled Pai,
it's
which is where we met actually a few weeks ago. We were both on I was on a weekend trip to Pai that became 2 weeks, and now I finally made it back to Chiang Mai. That, by the way, is the reason for the hiatus on the show.
Yeah. The never-ending dilemma: Pai or Chiang Mai.
Yeah, that's the dilemma I've been tackling with recently because I came to Pai originally like in January, and we have actually a bunch of mutual friends here in Chiang Mai, and I went with some of them 2 weeks ago to Pai. It was a weekend trip, and I just kind of fell in love with the place, and now I had this dilemma like, oh my god, maybe I want to stay here. I don't know, maybe I'll go back and forth though.
Yeah, and for the listeners that aren't familiar with Pai, it's just this quiet little utopia situated in the mountains where everyone who's there is just very, well, okay, it's a little bit of a hippie community,
definitely,
I guess, but bring your guitar and your good vibes and, come sit around with the good people of Pai. It's just a really chilled out place.
It's amazing. I would just walk around with my guitar in my back everywhere, and no matter what, I would boom, whip out the guitar and play.
which reminds me, I still need to film you.
Oh yeah, the Pai song.
On your guitar with the Pai song.
I really need to do that, and I'll post it out here on.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'll post the song on the podcast.
Absolutely.
The Pai song. It seems to be a hit, especially in around Pai and Chiang Mai.
A self-proclaimed hit.
Self-proclaimed hit. But it's it's funny because that was my dilemma. But I'm really happy that that's my biggest dilemma in life. Is where do I want to be, Chiang Mai or Pai? Two wonderful, amazing places.
Which of these great places in Thailand do I want to be and work minimally and just enjoy my life? What's a guy to do?
Exactly. But you now are actually going to go visit the home fronts soon, yeah?
2 weeks in San Francisco and 2 weeks in my hometown in Missouri. So. And
I didn't realize actually that it's nice to know that on the 1-year visa you can actually kind of skip out for a minute and visit and come back.
My school allows you to Skype into the classes, so you don't want to.
Are you going to Skype in while you're in the States?
You don't want to miss too many classes because you do have to pass some little test, some language test.
Naturally.
So they allow you to Skype in, and it's quite nice, convenient.
Yeah, I think some of your classmates and our mutual friends like James and Django, they Skyped in while from Pai.
Yeah, you can travel. Wherever. It's
that makes it pretty. Actually, that could solve my dilemma there, maybe.
it's a good selling point.
Yeah. So you're gonna visit family and friends and everything. I guess it's been since February.
It's been how many months is that?
Is it what month is it now? It's in September.
Yeah, it's been a while, so it's going to be a very different feeling. I've studied abroad before in Europe, but I've never just moved myself to a foreign country. This is the first time in my life I've done that, and so visiting the U.S. as a visitor is kind of a strange feeling. But it's definitely, just recently I've realized that this is the right place. This is the right place for me right now. The things that I'm able to do here and just the sort of sense of peace that I have, it's completely worth it. Yeah,
and I feel similarly, like there isn't a place that's felt more kind of like the home I need. I want to be in than here. Like even if I were to go to the U.S., it's like I've got friends and family all across the place. It's not like one city that's the place, and so I'm going to make a new home for myself. Well, geez, this is there's something better here, and it's very easy to, like we've been talking about, make a lot of friends.
Yeah, you meet a lot of really genuine people, and I think most of the people have a schedule that's similar to yours, which is pretty flexible.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, the people that do work with companies back in the U.S., they tend to work in the evenings or they work part-time. So you just have more time.
Yeah,
you just have more time
to
enjoy.
be with friends and enjoy.
Yeah, and you know, we go for hikes, we go to caves, we go visit places together, and it's just really, really genuine friendships. I can't drive it home enough. I mean, automatically by coming here, you're kind of the people you meet, you're gonna have more in common with them.
Yes.
You know, than you do
you
anywhere.
like click immediately.
Yeah, you click immediately because usually, you know, like you and I are sitting around, oh, why did you leave the U.S.? And it's like, well, I didn't want to be chained to a cubicle, you know, and you discover 5-10 things right off the bat that you have in common with that person, and you just bond.
Yeah.
It's great.
And I've come to Chiang Mai on several separate occasions this year, and every time I meet a different group of people that I immediately bond with in an amazing way. It's just like a magnet, you know? And so it's like home. And so it'll be weird for me also in a few months when I make my going to the U.S. as a visit rather than as a return. I'm planning to go back for the holiday season, you know, Thanksgiving and Christmas and New Year's and all that. But yeah, for me as well. I don't know exactly where I'm going after the New Year and everything, but probably back here. Well, maybe back here, maybe somewhere else. But it'll be a different vibe where I'm going. Yeah. It's going to be culture shock, I think. Just reverse culture shock going back to the States.
Well, and you just start to feel like you're a citizen of the world. You know, you're not really a U.S. citizen or whatever French citizen, wherever you're from, but you're a citizen of the world. You know, you just live where you are. And God, that's liberating.
Yeah, I think so. I think so.
You know, one thing I'd really love to mention too, because we talk about the people that you meet, but also just the opportunities here. Whatever interest you have, you can really get involved in. Me personally, I've gotten really involved in yoga. Recently, I've gotten involved in volunteering and teaching English to refugees, which is a really fulfilling experience for me. But there are endless opportunities here. You know, whether your interest is martial arts, Muay Thai, or I've met some guys who do ultimate frisbee.
Yeah.
I mean, it's incredible, you know. So it's wow. I'm really promoting Chiang Mai, aren't I?
I think that's like half of what I do on the show is just talk about how awesome Chiang Mai is. Like this isn't the first episode I've talked about.
I read about it before I came here, and I thought, wow, this kind of sounds too good to be true. And then you come here and you're like, oh shit, it's even better. I
didn't even know about it. It caught me like completely blind.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of funny actually. So back in it was back in January was the first time I came here. I was in India at the time, and I was meeting my cousin in Thailand. He was like in between semesters. He is at University of Maryland right now. Yeah. And so came out to meet him, and you know he booked immediately after flying to Bangkok. He booked us a train ticket to Chiang Mai and 3 nights stay in Chiang Mai. And my first reaction was like, dude, what are you doing? Never plan ahead. Like as a backpacker, my number one rule is
that sounds familiar.
Yeah, you never plan. I was like, I don't even know if I'm gonna want to stay in Chiang Mai for 3 days. I don't like cities.
3 days, what a commitment.
Yeah, exactly. And we ended up staying for a week only because we went to Pai, and then after Pai came back here and was here. Just only left Chiang Mai the second, for the 2 weeks just because my visa was up or my stamp was up. So it was like, yeah, I had this thought in my head. In general, cities are like not my thing, but came here and was like, whoa, this is wow.
it's pretty great. Well, and Chiang Mai is not a huge city. It's not like Bangkok.
It's like the perfect balance almost.
Yeah,
of like
it's mid-size. It's a nice
walkable and
easy to get around.
Yeah. So Chiang Mai is awesome.
I think we've established that.
Yes. Tell me more though, actually, about some of the other adventures you've been in. So you've got AmandaInAsia.com. You're blogging about your adventures before settling in Chiang Mai. Where were you traveling? I don't know if maybe we've talked about this already. I'm not sure, but
well, this was my first time in Asia. When I was in college years and just after college, I spent a lot of time in Europe. A lot of time France, Italy, over there, and It had been some years since I had traveled. I was working in downtown San Francisco, nice marketing job near the Bay Bridge, and yeah, it was great. It was exciting, but I really missed having those cultural experiences and just being abroad, and the challenge of it and the delight of it. So I talked to a number of friends who had traveled, and more and more, excuse me, I'm losing my voice.
No, you're good.
Yeah, more and more of my friends were kind of doing a gap year in the middle of their career. I know gap years are common right after college, but more people in their 30s were saying...
I actually hate that word, gap year.
Yeah.
I hate that phrase because it's like, you're taking a gap from what? From your life? Like,
well, yeah.
It's like, to me, it's like, no, you're not taking a gap, you're just living your life.
Yeah,
like, to call it a gap year is, to me, like a misnomer.
That's kind of the sad reality, isn't it? I mean,
I don't know, it doesn't have to be.
I think
if you want it to be your reality.
Yeah, but I think that's kind of why I think that's kind of why they use the word a gap, because it's, maybe you've been working for 10 years and you want to go back to work, but you need a break. You need a refresher.
Right.
And so for a lot of people, I think that's what it is. It's just a refresher. But I have a really good friend who went to travel the world for 6 months, and 6 months turned into a year, and a year turned into 2 years, and
a gap 2 year, a gap life.
It wasn't really a gap anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
It became a lifestyle, but
that's what I mean.
And I talked to these friends about their trip, and my initial thought was, well, but you're a man, so you can do that. I'm a woman. I don't know if it's safe for me, and I think maybe a lot of women have kind of felt that way, like, can I really just pack a bag and travel by myself around the world? And I'd never been to Asia before, so I didn't really know what to expect. But I just started having conversations with people, and met with some girls who had traveled through Thailand by themselves and other places by themselves, and realized, I think it's all right. I think it's not going to be that scary, but it doesn't change the fact that when you actually land here and you get off the plane for the first time and you go to the hotel for the first time and you're really there, you're like, oh shit,
right,
I really did this. This is, wow. what's going to happen next? And literally, I think it was maybe 5 days in that I was like, yeah, this was the right decision. There's a little bit of shock at the beginning, but then you're like, this was the right decision. Suddenly you're on an island somewhere and you're sitting on the beach with 5 friends that you've just made, and you're drinking out of a coconut and you're strumming on the guitar, and you're like, yeah, this was a good decision.
Yeah. Yep.
So,
yeah, I had a similar kind of moment where, and for me, I had already kind of made that decision, like, yeah, I'm kind of changing the lifestyle. I kind of knew that straight away, that I was indefinitely going to be doing something like this. But I remember this certain moment in India when a few days after I arrived and started this trip, it was like a year ago actually, I met some locals through couch surfing, and we went on like a road trip. And I remember we're in this beautiful valley where the flowers are blooming because it was just after the monsoon season, or just towards the end of the month. It was right about this time of year. And I just remember this feeling of being with these wonderful people. We had these awesome conversations on the ride over. It was like a 5-hour car ride. That was the best 5-hour car ride ever.
Yeah.
It was very interesting. And then I'm sitting there in this field looking up thinking, wow, I am exactly where I'm supposed to be right now.
Yes.
And it was just
absolutely.
This overwhelming, feeling.
I remember having that exact same feeling.
Yeah.
I think I wrote about it in my blog.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's incredible. And, it's not to say that everything is just flowers and rainbows and you're backpacking.
Sure.
Like, there's difficulties, and I've talked plenty on this show before. Like, you go through phases of things. And you go through life.
And it can't be Christmas every day.
Of course.
I think after about 2 or 3 months, you get so tired of having the conversation that starts, so where are you from?
Yeah.
So how long are you here? So where are you going next?
Yeah.
You get really tired of that conversation.
Yep.
And you kind of have to find...
It's like the equivalent of, so what do you do back home?
Yeah, you kind of have to find a quiet space for yourself. And that's literally when I decided to settle in Chiang Mai.
Yeah, similarly for me.
It's kind of the best of both worlds. I'm still in Southeast Asia. If I want to make a weekend trip to an amazing place, I can do that. But I also have, I have a home here.
Yes.
And a life here, and I like having that.
Yeah,
so.
Exactly the same for me, Yeah, after a while doing it, it gets to be, you meet so many awesome people all the time backpacking, but it gets to be lonely because it's transient.
Yeah.
People come and go. So then, similarly, I was like, Chiang Mai, boom.
Yeah.
Now I have and this is the place, like you said, where there's people that are here long term. And, other like-minded people, and it's very nice to be in that kind of environment. It's got the best of many worlds, I'd say. Yeah, definitely.
Do you think we could get paid by the city of Chiang Mai for this?
We should, right? We should. I'm going to ask them. Chiang Mai, would you like to sponsor an episode of Walking the Earth podcast? We're going to promote you.
Another thing is I see a lot of older people here, and it's funny how my father was in the Vietnam War, and I see a lot of these guys that look to be my father's age, and they've probably lived here a long time, and you're walking around, and it's really like I can't believe I'm in Asia. I'm surrounded by people like I would see at home. It's it's not just young kids and backpackers. It's really a variety of people.
Yeah.
And one more thing I really like about Chiang Mai as compared to Bangkok or Phuket or some of the other cities is Chiang Mai is just not really seedy.
Right.
I think some of these other places have a reputation for being a bit seedy, and
I think it has elements somewhere.
Sure,
but it's not not quite as seedy as Bangkok.
And every place does, but here
You're right,
here it's a little more conservative.
Yeah.
There is a more moral feeling when you're in Chiang Mai. So
yeah, it's not as crazy as say Bangkok for sure.
Yeah.
Well, I want to ask you one more question that I ask all of my guests, and that question is, and give me the first thing that pops in your head.
Okay.
What's something that you haven't already done that you'd like to do in your life before you kick the bucket?
Oh gosh. One thing that's been on my mind is I want to learn yoga in India.
Yeah?
Yeah, I've been thinking about that for a while. I don't know when I'm going to get the opportunity. I want to use at least a month, or have at least a month of time to do that. And there's some in Kerala that I've heard about. You were mentioning
Rishikesh, in North India.
Yeah,
there's a lot of yoga stuff.
I've just really gotten into yoga since I've been here, and I would love to train for it. In the place where it all began. So that's probably my top of my bucket list.
Yeah, that's so like maybe after you finish your year.
After I finish the year, because I don't think I can take that much time off from classes. But
yeah. I mean, you may even want to consider spending just a few months. India is a place that you could spend a lot of time and still not see it all. It's a wonderful. I could speak about India as much as we spoke about Chiang Mai. You know, just about how wonderful it is. I mean, it's chaotic. India is pure chaos, and that's what's intimidating about it, because there are people that will try to take advantage of you, but there's also the most beautiful, wonderful, amazing people on the planet. So it's just complete. You get every kind of experience in person and thing, and every kind of landscape too.
And some of my best friends are from India. I worked for an Indian organization in Silicon Valley, and so I've made really good friends with people from southern India, northern India, and I would actually love to see some of their hometowns and really experience it as well. So
I would definitely recommend, if you're to go to India, my recommendation is take as much time as you can to really go through. As an American, you can actually, I think, get a 10-year visa for India.
Crazy.
Multi-entry, so you could just come and go as you.
Crazy.
In India, talking about prices, it's like half the price of Thailand. So affordable travel as well.
And really probably the best traveling experience I've had during my backpacking was 2 weeks in Burma. Burma was just beautiful.
How did you find it? Yeah.
Actually it is parts of Burma are close to the Indian border, and there's definitely you'll see some overlap in cultural elements, food and things like that. Burmese people are so friendly. They're just the friendliest people, even if they don't speak a word of English, and many of them don't. They just make every effort to be helpful, and I had a wonderful experience in Burma.
I need to go check it out at some point. I've been to Myanmar, Burma, for 2 days. Like, I was doing a border run from Thailand. The last time I was here in Chiang Mai, I was here again, stayed in Chiang Mai until my stamp was up. So I went up to the border to cross. I didn't think that I could get in without a visa.
Right.
But actually, I was able to get in. And I was like, all right, well, I guess I'll stay. But here's the catch. I found out I could only stay within the border city.
Okay, that's what I've heard.
That was the catch.
That's what I've heard.
So I was technically in Myanmar, but it was like I couldn't go past the border city.
You can fly from Bangkok to Yangon for $40 US.
That's not
with
bad.
AirAsia.
Yeah.
And you do have to get the visa. The visa's $800 to $1,200 depending on if you want it rushed or not. You get it right there in Bangkok as well. So most people go from Bangkok to Myanmar. But yeah, the best cities in my mind are Bagan in Leh Lake and Sipa. Those are really beautiful cities in Burma, and it's just so untouched. There's not as much.
Yeah, it's only recently opened up to
tourism
tourism
there. It's only recently opened up. A lot of people say it's what Thailand was 40 years ago, and I don't know. Maybe that's true. Maybe it's not.
Who knows?
But I can't say enough good things about Burma. It is a poor country. It definitely is, and you can see that they still have their struggles. But you can't help but want good things for these people. They're just such warm people. So
yeah, I definitely want to make a proper visit to Myanmar at some point in the future. Awesome. Well, Amanda, thank you for coming on the show. Folks that want to hear more from Amanda, you can find her blog, amandainasia.com. Amanda's also on Facebook. Recently made a Facebook page.
Yes, finally.
Yesterday, yeah. So check her out at facebook.com/amandainasia, and you're also on Twitter at AmandaDayCA.
That's right.
And I will, as always, post links to all the ways to find you on the blog post right up for this episode. That can be found at wtepodcast.com. And please, you can remember, if you want to help support the show, or if you just want to get yourself, just for listening to the show, you get a free audiobook. How about that? So check it out at audibletrial.com/WTE podcast. I think that's all for now.
Great. Thanks, Mike.
Yeah, thank you so much again. And thank you, everybody, for listening. And we will talk to you next time.
Bye-bye.